Natural physics is a concept astrophysicist Leroy Larry developed that explains in down-to-earth scenarios how the principles of physics could have come about from observing nature. Each episode begins with a scenario, followed by an example to illustrate the application of these principles in futuristic research at the frontiers of science, such as Leroy's astrophysics doctoral research, and then concludes with an exploration of how these same principles could have very well been used by ancient cultures and civilizations. Mathematics is naturally encountered and incorporated as the exciting and fun tool of science that it is. Science is the window into our amazing world of nature, and mathematics is the tool to open that window. Natural physics encompasses current, futuristic, and ancient physics, and ties them together by the principles of physics that are common threads running throughout each.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Leroy Larry, and welcome to the Natural Physics Experience, live from Costa Rica. My guest today is August Wolgamuth from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Hey, August. Hey, how you doing? Hey, Juliet. Hello.
I now present to you my presentation of Costa Rica.
Okay. Oh boy. Okie dokie.
So,
Okie dokie.
as you know, Costa Rica is a rugged rainforest Central American country with coastlines on the Caribbean and Pacific Oceans. Though its capital is San Jose, is home to cultural institutions and, of course, credit Google.
Excellent.
Do I have to read this whole thing?
No, you don't. History of Costa Rica. My goodness, August. What a great research project you did.
Mr. Leroy, we have a song for you after this presentation.
What was that, Juliet?
So, I'll just give you like a quick overview. So the first indigenous peoples of Costa Rica were hunters and gatherers. And when the Spanish conquerors arrived, Costa Rica was divided into two districts. Actually, I'll just read the whole thing. Cultural areas due to the geographical location and intermediate area between Mesoamerica and Andean cultures. The influences of both cultures, typical settlement of the Diquas, indigenous people before the arrival of Columbus. Christopher Columbus first dropped anchor in Costa Rica in 1503 at Isla Uberta. His forces overcame the indigenous people. He incorporated the territory to the capacity general in Guatemala as the province of New Spain in 1524. For the next 300 years, Costa Rica was a colony of Spain. As a result, Costa Rica's culture has been greatly influenced by the culture of Spain. Costa Rica's culture has been greatly influenced. During this period, Costa Rica remains sparsely developed and improvised.
Okay. Excellent, August. Wow. Do you want to read more, or are we good for now? I think we're good. We can come back to this, but let me explain.
You
Go
hear
back.
the song?
Huh?
You hear the song?
Oh, is that the Costa Rican national anthem?
Yeah.
Could you turn that up? You know what, August and Juliet? I think the Costa Rican Tourism Agency is going to be very interested in your video. Okay, so I can hear it. Da, 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 da,
The
da, da,
economy
da.
of
Yes.
Costa Rica. The economy of Costa Rica has been very stable for some years now. The continuing growth in the GDP, gross demonic product and moderate inflation. Though with a high unemployment rate at 11.49% in 2019, Costa Rica's economy emerged from Concession in 1997 and has shown strong artery growth since then. The estimate GDP for 2013 is US 90 billion, up significantly from the US 52.6 billion in 2015, while the estimate 2024 per capita pricing power party is US $28,558.
Okay, August. Okay, you want to keep going? Go ahead. This isn't physics, but this is awesome. Go ahead, August.
I'm waiting for the song to stop.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
You
so
know
which
what?
our song are you singing?
The
Like,
agency, the tourism agency of Costa Rica is gonna love you. Okay. Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Demographic structures of Costa Rica. Costa Rica's population is around 5.1 5.106 million, mainly of Mestro descent, along with Afro-Panamanas and indigenous peoples such as the Hutar, Malika, Bar, I can't say this.
Bree.
Bree, Tabby Car, and oh, that's a lot. Bruanka. How do you say that one?
Okay, Nagabe.
Nagabe, Bororan, and Deco Hanga. The country has a significant expat community from the US, Colombia, and China. Most of the population lives in urban areas. Spanish is the official language, but English is widely used in businesses and tourism.
Okay. I can still hear the Costa Rican national anthem. Awesome.
It's
Awesome.
almost on every page.
Okay. You
Plug
want to
this
keep
in.
You want to keep reading?
Yep.
Okay.
no, because I'm not singing that Costa Rica song.
Costa Rica's food culture. The natural dish of Costa Rica is gualo pinto, the mixture of rice, beans, often with onions, peppers, and cilantro, and is traditionally eaten for breakfast. That actually
Yes.
looks good.
It's a great breakfast too, let me tell you. Oh, it is. It's delicious. Okay. Okay. I think we're okay. I think that's let me show me how many more. Show me how many more. Okay.
There's
do
2
this.
more pages left.
Okay. Let's not do this one. Go to the next one.
Okay.
Okay,
So
do
the
this
fun
one.
facts about the Costa Rica of Costa Rica, 200 plus species of birds. Costa Rica is a bird watcher paradise with over 900 different species of birds, including the vibrant scarlet macaw, land of volcanoes. Costa Rica boasts over 200 volcanic formations, some of which are active, making it a destination for volcano enthusiasts.
Whoa, right on. Okay, August. That was
Thank
that was
you.
excellent. That was excellent.
Now I
Okay,
gotta change
now
my background for a second.
no, let's do this. I want to explain to you some of the terms that you
This is
might that
part
you
of the presentation that I
okay.
really want to
Now,
show you.
August, I want you to go back to the first page of your presentation because there's some words that you read that you might not have understood what they meant. So could you pull your presentation back up? Because I would like to do that. Excellent, excellent presentation. That could be done in front of the United Nations, and I'm not even joking. Okay,
This one, the Welcome to Costa Rica.
okay. All right. Okay, go to the next slide. All right. Okay, August. This word right here, Mesoamerican,
Yeah.
what that means is before Europeans came to uh, the New World, Christopher Columbus and all of those explorers, Mesoamerican means before all of them came here to Costa Rica, okay?
That
I
makes
can't
sense now.
huh?
That makes sense now.
Makes sense. Okay. Now let's see if there's another word that you Andean means the Andes Mountains. There's a mountain range in South
Ah,
America called the Andes Mountains. So all these cultures lived in the Andes Mountains, okay?
okay.
Okay, let's see if okay. Oh, go back, go back, go back, go back to that, the other one. I want to make sure that there's no other words. Okay, the key indigenous, what that means, August, that's the Indians that lived here in Costa Rica before the people from Europe got here. Okay, indigenous people means the natives that lived here. Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay. See, before the arrival of Columbus. Okay. Let's see. Any more words that you might have not known what they meant? I think we're good to go. Oh,
What
I
does
think we're good to go.
incorporated mean?
Okay, incorporated means included in, like you include it. You incorporate it,
Uh,
you incorporate it into something. You bring it in. You
I
join it,
forgot.
okay?
Okay.
All right. This slide. Okay.
What does G
Uh
what does the gross domesticated product mean?
that means kind of now I could be wrong. I'm not an economist, right? I'm an astrophysicist, but I think that means how much money a particular area makes, for all the people that live in an area, like a city or a state or a country. I think that means how much money is made. Okay.
And so is
Okay.
it kind of like the taxes here, like the what's it called again? What's it called again? No,
That's okay. Don't
it's
worry about it. So
it's a
this,
tax.
yeah, see when it says the economy of Costa Rica, this whole slide is about how much money is generated and how much people spend and products and supply and all that kind of stuff, okay? Go to
Yeah.
the next slide, please. All right. Demographic means when you have a area of land you describe what's going on in the different areas of that land. So it says the population of Costa Rica is about 5 million people. And you know what, August? Where Tears and I used to live in California, the whole 5 million, that was the amount of people that lived in where we live, right? Just in that part of California. Not even talking about the Los Angeles, okay? Los Angeles, it was 5 million, the whole area around Los Angeles. You're not including the rest of California. You're not including the rest of the states in the United States, right? So in Costa Rica, there's 5 million people, which where we lived before we came here, there was more people living in that, more people living where we were than in the whole country of Costa Rica. Isn't that pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when they say indigenous groups, oh, go back to that slide, please. These are the names of the natives, the Indians that lived and that live in Costa Rica before the Europeans arrived, okay? You have you named them. Now, Tears and I have personally visited the Kabacar. They live way out in the jungle. We went in and I talked to them about physics and outer space and exploration, right? And they're August and Juliet, for the students that go to this school, the Kabacar people, these students have to walk each way from their homes 2 hours to their school. Okay? And then after school is done, they have to walk 2 hours back to their homes after school. Isn't that amazing? Wow, through the jungle. Not like you're walking in an open field where it's nice and clear and everything. No, you're walking through a jungle. There's pathways, of course, but still, you're walking through a very dense forest jungle to go from your home to go to school for 2 hours and then to walk back home. Okay, and these are the other indigenous peoples here in Costa Rica. And okay, this word right here, August, expatriate,
Where is it?
right
This one?
here. Expatriate just means people that live in Costa Rica.
Don't make me one tweet. It's just
Ex-
so long.
okay, expatriate means people that live here in Costa Rica who are
Can you
not.
hold the meat, please?
Okay, you ready?
Sorry.
That's
Yeah.
okay. Expatriate means people like people like Tirza and I who are not, we weren't born in Costa Rica, but we came here to live. So expatriates are not only people from the United States, they're people from Canada, like Mr. Bruce, right?
Yeah.
He's from Canada. He's an expatriate, okay? And there's people from all over the world, all the countries around the world that have come here to Costa Rica to live. And we're all called expatriates, okay? Okay, I think that's the last word on this page. Let's go to the next page. Okay, I think that's pretty explanatory. Gallo is a mixture of rice and beans.
There's different one because there's one piece of unless I split it.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, gallo is a mixture of rice and beans, and the beans are black. They're very tasty. There's red beans, black beans, but to make this particular dish, black beans are used. Do you have any kind of dish in Canada which is similar to this?
Baked beans count?
Baked? What's that?
Like baked beans?
Baked beans. Okay. Yeah, I like baked beans too. Okay, next slide. And we skipped that one. Next one. Okay. Yeah, I think this is I think we don't have any words on this page that we didn't know what that means. All right. Next page. All right, that was the last one. Excellent. Thank you so much, August. What an
Okay, so
excellent.
now we have a song for you.
You have a song?
I'm gonna change my background. Whoops.
Okay. Okay.
Costa Rica, Costa Rica, Costa Rica. Keep that
No,
background.
stop. Hey, can you do it one more time and I'll sing it with you? Okay, go ahead.
Costa
Costa
Rica,
Rica,
Costa
Costa
Rica,
Rica,
Costa
Costa Rica,
Costa
Costa
Rica.
Rica. Excellent.
Keep
Thank
that
you so
background.
much, August and Juliet. Beautiful presentation. Okay, August. Now, you remember, this is the equation of the gravitational force between, for example, the sun and Earth, or Earth and the moon. Okay? You remember that, right? And this is the physics equation. And G, as I said before, is a number that never changes. It's called a constant. And M1 is the mass of this object. M2 is the mass of this object. And then D squared, you'll see it sometimes as R squared, but that means the distance between object 1 and object 2. And when it says D squared, that means whatever this distance is, you have to multiply it by itself. Let's say this is the Earth and this is the moon, okay? The distance between the Earth and the moon is this. The distance between the Earth and the moon is
And this is
384,400 kilometers, okay?
okay.
D squared means you have to multiply 384,000 kilometers times 384,000 kilometers, okay?
Okay.
And M1 is the mass of the Earth, and M2 is the mass of the moon. Not only is this equation used to find out the gravitational force between the Earth and the moon, but between the sun and the Earth, and the sun and every other planet in the solar system. If you have a planet that you have a spacecraft that you want to fly by that planet, the same force of gravity. In this case, you want to fly your Northern Constellation rocket, which is object 2, past Jupiter. Using this equation, the gravitational force that Saturn is going to be exerting on your Northern Constellation spacecraft is equal to the mass of Saturn times the mass of your Northern Constellation spacecraft divided by the distance times the distance. And you want that amount to be such that your spacecraft gets captured by Saturn's gravitational field and goes into orbit. So you see the difference between what you want your, using this equation and the distance, you see the difference between what you want this distance to be when your spacecraft gets to Jupiter, as opposed to what you want this distance to be when your spacecraft gets to Saturn, okay? What's that?
Okay.
Okay, all right. When the Apollo 11 astronauts went to the moon, they had to go from the Earth to the moon, right?
Yeah.
And when your Northern Constellation spacecraft reaches Saturn, it's going to have to go from Saturn to Titan, correct?
Yeah.
And we've taken care of everything we've taken care of the power that your Northern Constellation rockets will have to escape the Earth's gravity, right? And then we saw how you're going to use the same trajectory that the Voyager spacecraft did. You're going to use Jupiter's gravitational field to give it a boost, send it towards Saturn, and then when it gets to Saturn, Saturn's gravitational field is going to capture it and bring it into orbit. So the Apollo 11 astronauts, August, this is how they got from the Earth to the moon. And this applies to what you're going to have to do to get your rocket from orbiting around Saturn to Titan. Once Apollo 11 was launched on the Saturn V rocket, the most powerful rocket ever built, once they were in orbit around the Earth, they had to do a maneuver called translunar injection. And what that meant was they were going to have to get enough velocity up to get away. Remember, they're orbiting the Earth. The Apollo 11 spacecraft had to get enough velocity to get away from the Earth's gravitational field and head towards the moon. And then when it got to the moon, they had to do a maneuver called lunar orbit insertion, which means they had to have the right velocity to gain orbit around the moon. And that's exactly what you want to do with your Titan spacecraft, with your Northern Constellation spacecraft that's going to go to Saturn, to Titan. Once you get to Saturn, you're going to have to do maneuvers to get to Titan. August and Juliet, I just want to say to both of you, I think it's excellent, the research that you did about Costa Rica in preparation for you and your family.
Juliet.
In preparation for you and your family coming to visit Tirza and I here in Costa Rica. It's most excellent. Thank you so much. What's that, Juliet?
Saying Jesus.
Okay. Ready for some physics? Okay, here we go. You want your Northern Constellation spacecraft, once this says Earth and the Moon, but let's just say this is Saturn and this is Titan. The Apollo 11 astronauts went from the Earth to the Moon. They had to achieve orbit around the Moon, and that was called lunar orbit insertion. Here's a photograph of the Apollo 11 lunar module orbiting the moon, and there's the Earth in the background. The lunar orbit insertion, that meant that they had achieved orbit around the moon. So, August, you want to go from the Earth to Saturn and then to Titan. So here's a picture of Saturn, and here's Titan, its largest moon, which is where you want to go. Here's a close-up picture. Let me move this down. Okay, here's a close-up picture of Titan.
It's actually just like a sea, like a sea thing, like a sea, like you know how NASA is National Aeronautics and Space Exploration?
Yes.
Isn't NOAA National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association?
Right.
I thought NOAA was actually just for like the sea stuff.
It is pretty much the oceanographic stuff. But so August, so basically back to this, just like the Apollo astronauts were in orbit around the Earth, and then they had to perform the maneuver to go from the Earth to the moon, and then they had to perform the maneuver to attain orbit around the moon. You're going to have to do the same thing with your Northern Constellation spacecraft. Once you get to Saturn, you're going to be orbiting around Saturn, and then you're going to have to perform a maneuver that's going to take you from Saturn to Titan. And just like that maneuver was called the translunar injection for the Apollo 11 spacecraft to go from Earth to the moon, your maneuver is going to be called the trans-Titan injection to go from Titan, to go from Saturn to Titan. And then just like when the Apollo 11 astronauts got to the moon, they had to do the maneuver called the lunar orbit insertion. Your Northern Constellation rocket is going to have to do a Titan orbit insertion. Okay, you see the similarity between the Apollo 11 mission that went from the Earth to the moon and your Northern Constellation mission, which is going to go from Earth to Saturn and then from Saturn to Titan. You see the similarity?
Yep.
And all those missions had to use this physics equation, August, to know the right distance to be away from the planet. Apollo 11 had to use this formula to know the right distance to be away from the moon. And your Northern Constellation is going to have to use this physics equation to know the right distance to be away from Titan. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Now, August, there's a big difference in the distances that we're talking about, okay? So the distance between the Earth and the moon that the Apollo 11 astronauts had to travel, you see this number here? 384,400 kilometers, okay?
Okay.
Now, we're going to compare the distance from the Earth to the moon with the distance from Saturn to Titan, okay?
Okay.
So here's the distance between Saturn and Titan, 1.2 million kilometers. Now, which one is bigger, August? The distance between the Earth and the moon or the distance between Saturn and Titan?
Titan and Saturn.
Much bigger. So here's your first homework problem. Here's your first homework problem. I want you to find out how many times bigger the distance from Saturn to Titan is compared to the Earth to the moon. That's your first homework assignment. Okay?
Okay.
And these are the numbers you're going to need. This is the distance. You're going to want to write this down, August. This is the distance between the Earth and the moon. 384,400 kilometers. So write that down. Got it?
I wrote it in miles, not kilometers.
Kilometers. We're in the MKS system. Meters, kilograms, second. So meters, kilometers. Okay? So
I got that down.
So that's the distance from the Earth to the moon, 384,400 kilometers, okay? Here's the next number. Here's the next number you need. The distance between Saturn and Titan. And that is 1.2 million kilometers. Now, August.
0.2. 1, 2, 3.
Now, when you say million, how many zeros is a million? Huh?
9.
Not 9.
6.
6. Did you say 6?
Yeah.
6. So 1.2 million kilometers means 1.2 with 6 zeros behind it. Okay?
Okay.
You have to find out how much bigger 1200000 is than 484400. Okay?
Okay.
That's your first homework problem. Okay. All right. So once your Northern Constellation astronauts are able to attain orbit around Saturn, they got to get to Titan. So that's the next part of your mission, is using this equation to figure out what the gravitational force is going to be that they're going to have to deal with between their spacecraft and Saturn and Titan. Okay?
Okay.
I want you to calculate when the Apollo 11 astronauts were orbiting the Earth. I want you to find out what the force of gravity was that they had to deal with. So we're not going to pay attention to G, the gravitational constant, but we're going to use M1, M2, and D squared. So, August, to calculate this force, I looked it up, and the mass of the Apollo 11 lunar module with the command capsule was basically 28,800 kilograms. That was the mass of the command module and the lunar module, okay? Which went to the moon after they were detached from the Saturn V rocket. The mass of the Earth is about, just write this number down, August, is 6 with 24 zeros behind it. Just write the number 6 and then 24 zeros behind it, okay? That's what this number means, okay? That 10 to the 24th, 24 zeros, okay? That's a big number, right? So that's what M1 is. That's the mass of the Earth in kilograms. Now, mass 2 is the mass of the Apollo 11 spacecraft. M1, which is the mass of the Earth, right? With those 24 zeros. And then we got the mass of the Apollo 11 spacecraft. Now the distance. We got to get the distance. The Apollo 11 astronauts, when they were in orbit around the Earth, they were at a distance of 184 kilometers, okay? 184 kilometers, okay? So back to this equation, we have the mass of the Earth, we have the mass of the Apollo 11 spacecraft, and we have the distance, which was 184 kilometers. So August, what your big homework assignment is, you're going to calculate the force of gravity that, as the Apollo 11 astronauts orbited the Earth before they headed towards the moon, you're going to calculate the force of gravity that the Earth is exerting on them as they orbit the Earth. In summary, August, your homework assignment is to multiply the mass of the Earth, which is 6 with 24 zeros behind it, times the mass of the Apollo 11 spacecraft, which is 185,000. You get that number. And then you got to divide that by 385,000 times 385,000. Okay? You have 2 homework assignments, right?
Okay.
You have any questions about either one?
Nope.
August, okay. So, thank you again for your excellent research that you did on Costa Rica in preparation for you and your family coming here. Tears and I are so much looking forward to it. We're going to have so much fun. And I want to say tomorrow is July 4th. Happy and safe 4th of July to everyone out there, and you and your families. And let me say this, August, everyone, tune in next week, same fat time, fat, P-H-A-T, physics with attitude, enjoying physics as the window into our amazing world of nature and mathematics as the tool to open that window. Tune in next week. Same fat time, same fat channel. Okay, August, thank you so much.
Forgot about Canada Day.
What's that?
You forgot about Canada Day.
Happy and safe Canada Day too, right? Here, you say it. Happy and safe Canada Day.
We can say Canada Day to all people in Canada. And, yeah, people in Canada.
Excellent. Awesome. All right. Thank you, August and Juliet. Okie dokie.
Okay.